Right then, evening all.
Hello.
So thank you all for joining us. There's so many
Oh.
people in the comments already. What's the
So I
matter?
just realised why I can't see anything. Oh,
There it
you are.
is. There it is, Peter. So it's our wedding anniversary week. So it's our wedding
Week.
anniversary on Saturday, but we thought we'd love to share it all with you. It's how many years, Paulie? Can you
22.
remember?
22.
22 years.
She's saying to me, can you remember? She shouted up the stairs to me just now, how long have we been together? Didn't know. When I told her, oh, I don't think that's right. Yes, it is.
I didn't.
Yes,
yeah,
you
I did
did.
actually. Paul's better than numbers than me. So it's 29 years actually since that fateful night that we met, Pauline.
Oh, faithful is the word.
Well, not fateful nights we met. We met in it was a bit earlier than this, wasn't it? But yes, so 22 days. 22 years. We've been married. How mad is that?
A lot longer than 22 days. I think I even had brown. I think I had even had brown hair at the time.
Well, I've got the photo which we'll put up in a minute to see. Yes. Did he have brown hair when he met me or not?
But if there's any kids watching, I'd give them a warning.
But look, lovely Kevin Austin's already given us a super chat. So where's? So thank you so much, Kevin. That's really, really oh, thank you very much. So 20 Canadian dollars so we can spend on our night out on Saturday, because there's a new Korean restaurant opened in Gloucester and we can't wait to go.
Kevin's actually just sent me a message. He said that money is only for cider.
Oh, okay. But thank you so much, Kevin. Much appreciated. So many people in the comments. Have you got dirty glasses already?
You got a cleaner.
No, it's over by the books. He's not prepared. I'll give you a little. This is how it starts. I say, right, Paulie, 3 minutes to go. Yeah, I'm just making a coffee. Paulie, 58 seconds to go. Yeah. Kettle's just boiling, and then literally sits there with about 2 seconds and just swings in.
Because I'm a man. Where's the glasses cleaner? And I couldn't actually find them. I think she's maybe just got a few in there for.
Anyway, sit down, Paulie, because there's lots of people got hopefully lots of questions. So Nick and Tracy just saying hello, Paul and Carole, all the PNCers. So yes, all the PNCers, good to see you all here. And Kevin's quite rightly saying, if you've got a question for us, please put question at the front just so we can find it, because often it gets lost with everything else. So let's have a look here. So we just had another super sticker come in, and oh wow, that's cool. Let's see what that is. So Nick and Tracy, oh, thank you so much. That's very, very generous. So Nick and Tracy, oh, that's lovely. So thank you all for coming, and thank you all for that. That's a great start to our live stream. As we said, it's 22 years. I think that's copper. I googled it earlier, isn't it? Because every one of our anniversary is worth some sort of like paper or silver or whatever, and we're copper. So what's that mean, Pauline?
Well, it means maybe you should have married a plumber.
Maybe. But thank you all for wishing us happy anniversary in the comments. If I read them all out, we'd be here all night. So
oh, there you are.
Yeah, you can see now. Hello.
Now, what usually happens is I only ever get a second-hand one of these because Carole cleans her glasses and then she gives me a second-hand one.
It's normally third-hand, so I normally clean my glasses, clean my phone, and then I give them to Paul.
So this is the first time I've ever used a moist one. Usually it's like a piece of sandpaper by the time I get it.
Oh, dear. Right. So let's see if we've got any questions in the house then. So please ask us anything about us, about our wedding, about cruising, about travel, whatever you'd like to know, then please do let us know. So here we are. So Alan Collins, will you have a cruise on the Arvia, or do you think it's too same as Iona?
I would have a cruise on Arvia. Now, I'm trying to not go on a tangent. About 14, 15 months ago, I said to Carole, I do the Arvia because they do some really, really good cheap Caribbean cruises. But of course, there was the stigma of the horrible Malith air,
yes,
which I'd rather walk to the Caribbean and fly with them. But P&O eventually, after 18 months of making people's lives a misery, they've decided that, actually, maybe we might have got it wrong, even though they haven't admitted that, obviously. And they've now dumped Malith, and they've got new carriers, one of which is TUI, Norse Air, I believe,
and
somebody else, Virgin.
Yes. So we were now
so-
thinking, actually, because you can get some.
Yeah.
Mind, I did look to see how much they were for this December, but they're pretty pricey again. They got up to over 2,000. But last year, you could get to the Caribbean for like
£1,000.
£8,000. So we definitely would, and I agree, totally agree with you with Arvia. We really enjoyed Iona. Iona's a great ship. It's just, you know,
it's just a start.
No, but
Here's your drink, mister.
Anyway, let's have a look. Bridget's
Do you
put up a which
Do you want a bread roll?
No. So Bridget's just put us. So thank you to all the veterans who died to protect us and all those who made the world better for their guts. By their guts and determined to leave the world better for their sacrifice. Yes,
most
thank
definitely.
you, Bridget, for bringing that
and
up.
if I had a
because-
hat, I'd take it off to you, Bridget, for bringing that up.
And we just been been very emotional on it, watching all the tributes for the D-Day. So yes, so thank you, Bridget, for bringing that up. Totally.
And there's a man on the news earlier. He's 101.
Yes.
He's from Gloucestershire, and he's just gone back over
to Normandy.
The beaches. And he admitted that when they first landed, they actually landed on the wrong beach.
Yes.
Which was probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Because there was no Germans waiting for him.
Yeah. Right, and Corinne's saying that she's been in tears watching. It's been very emotional, isn't it? And my dad was in 4 invasions, 3 in Italy, and then Normandy on D-Day. So yes, it's very, very, very special day. So Nick's asking, so when preparing for a cruise, do you write a packing list or do you know what you have to pack?
Do you know, this is quite scary because Carole, when she first retired, well, not when she first retired, when I first started my own business, which is coming up to 15 years now, every day she would give me a list. To the point where my brother started calling her Schindler because she'd always leave me a list. But she never, ever writes a packing list.
Well, I used to. And it got to the point where because we travel so much that I got to know I don't tend to use a list now. But what I use is boxes, because as soon as we get home, stuff that comes out the case, like things that we always take, they go into different sort of clear boxes in our spare room. So they're put all in there so that they come all out again, don't they? You know, like your the water shoes, the inflatables, all sorts of stuff, different things like the bow ties and stuff for Cunard and the masquerade. They're all in these boxes. So I call them like our cruise boxes. So we know. So actually all the stuff's in there. And then I just have to I sometimes at the end do write myself a note, don't forget, because things that we've forgotten before is toothbrush and simple things like that.
But no actual physical list.
No, not for that.
No.
But I am a list person, as Paul said.
She is.
Well, if I didn't leave him a list to do stuff, he would just not do very much at all. But there we are. So
thank you, Oscar.
So Bridget's just saying, I've got to say this because I can't obviously show everyone's happy anniversary. Happy anniversary, lovable bickering Bickersons. Paul and Carole. Oh,
here's Bridget.
Yes. Oh, so people are saying that they write lots of lists. Evening all, Patrick and Francis and Andy and Carla. What a super picture. Yes, I will put that picture up in a moment. Happy anniversary. Andy and Carla saying, have you any plans to celebrate your wedding anniversary this weekend? We are. There's a new Korean restaurant coming that's open, which we plan to go to. And we're also, my sister's coming up and we're going to go around. There's the Orchard Market going on, isn't there? Our historic docks.
There was going to be a lot of friends and family come in, but they've all let us down.
Well, no, it's summertime, isn't it? So they've all got plans.
Selfish. They already had plans. I mean, we told them at least 3 or 4 days ago that we were going to go out for a drink. In our defense, we weren't very organized.
No.
Carole's sister's like, I mean, Carole's sister would turn up to the opening of an envelope.
No, she wouldn't.
If she would if there's beer there.
She enjoys going to Gloucester. We just go for a mooch around town, don't we?
And hopefully
we have such a lovely time.
My boy's going to catch it. As soon as I said Korean restaurant, my boy said, I'll try and free up a couple of hours.
Yeah, he's dog sitting, isn't he? Yeah. So he's but yeah, so if you're around on Saturday and you're at the historic docks and you see us,
then give us a wave.
I thought it
was going to be a lovely day of drinking beer, or drinking cider and eating Korean barbecue. And then Carole threw in that the Orchard Market's open in the docks, which is a market. How did that happen?
Yeah, but it's good to have a mooch.
But it is very close to a Weatherspoons. So,
yes, it is. That's true.
So I might have to, I need to go for a wee, Emmy. And I'll be gone for 3 hours.
So Emma Cruz is here and saying, that pic's so cute. Please show it in the live stream. Right, so I will. So where did I put it? Let's have it. So this is the picture from our wedding day 22 years ago. Look at that.
Now, my favorite part of the picture, which I always say this,
yes,
is so as you're looking at the picture, the little blonde child in the waistcoat is my little boy Lucas.
Yes.
Who's 30 in October and he's 6'5" now.
Yes.
And I just love just the pure joy on his face.
Yeah.
Of
throwing the confetti.
And that is lovely. And the two little girls at the front as well are two of Carole's nieces.
Yeah,
it's just an all-round.
And it is, and my girlfriends in it all,
and you can't
Jilly
tell
and Jan and everyone.
You can't tell exactly what colour my hair is because of the confetti, but I can assure you, there's very little grey in it.
Ah, there is. You were getting speckles then, weren't you? But we had been together about 7 years then.
Yeah, so that was enough to.
And that bouquet was so heavy. I just remember it's my arms were aching. I was passing it down. Could you hold this for a bit? But it was a fantastic day. We got married at Weston Arboretum. For those of you that know Gloucestershire, it's a beautiful place near Tetbury. And it poured with rain till about 10 o'clock, didn't it? And we're thinking, oh my God, because we had sort of an open bar that we put up in between all the rhododendrons in the glade there outside the little oak hall at the Arboretum. But thankfully, about 11 o'clock, the sun came out and it was just a fabulous day.
It was.
My wedding dress, though, at the bottom was just brown, wasn't it, by the end of the day? But and then we went back to our Gloucester Rugby Club and we had a fantastic party with live music with the Sheshgecko, yeah, Sheshgecko. Yeah, and it was a fabulous night. So it was an amazing day when it poured.
Yeah, it was fabulous.
So there we are. So that's our little picture there. So let's have a look at Barbara's here. Barbara finally made it to alive because Barbara's in Melbourne. So what time is it there? It must be really.
What's Barbara's surname, honey?
Zai is angry.
You was angry?
No. How would you pronounce that? Zai is angry. It's 4 a.m.
Cease and Gary.
Well, let us know, Barbara. Apologies if we pronounced it wrong, which I'm sure we have. But lovely to see you here. But yeah, keep him warm with some nice warm coffee. So Corinne says, well, my Barbara, that's above and beyond duty. It certainly is. So let's have a look. So Kangaroo Cruise and Lizzie Lou's here. So thank you ever so much. Ken saying Thatcher's Gold and the Bloody Mary. Yes, I'm sure there will be some of that on the weekend. So, and Kevin said, if you do enjoy our live streams, please do give us a thumbs up. It really does help the channel. So let's have a look. Who's got the next question? So I can't get through all the happy anniversaries. So wow, where is the next question? So Auntie G is saying, just back from QM2, thanks again for your QM2 content. So sad you didn't have a good experience on Queen Anne. Do you know we did have a good experience on Queen Anne? I think people, because there was lots of issues, there's no denying it, with some of our food experiences, and there were some things on the ship that we didn't particularly like. But overall, we had a great experience, didn't we? We had fantastic company. The entertainment on board is absolutely superb. The outside spaces, the majority of them, not all of them, which you'll find out in our video that's coming out tomorrow, are superb. So we came off there, actually, the morning we were getting off, we thought we wish we were staying on because we were enjoying it. By then, things are starting to get into their groove, weren't they? Yeah. And we thought it'd be really interesting to stay on to see how things developed. But we came away thinking we did have a really good time, but it really made us think of not if we would cruise so much on Cunard again, because we know we love the Cunard product. Queen Anne is very different. This was our 8th Cunard cruise, but it's whether we would do another maiden again.
But what I will say is we had some great people around us with Ken and Lindsay, and Dan and Tony,
cruise boys. We had Visit with us, and we also had Cruising with the 4Bs. So there's lots of people that we were having fun with, and that always helps, doesn't it, when your things don't go right all the time. But lots of things did go right too, didn't they? And Queen Anne is a beautiful ship. It's definitely produced for the mass market rather than for Cunard fans. So it'll be interesting to see. And I would like to go back on it in maybe a year's time to see actually how it has got into its groove.
It's bedded down.
Exactly. So happy anniversary across this hundreds. Question. Lou's asking. Here, we've had a question. Have you ever done a line-up club on P&O? Who's worth seeing?
We've only done the Limelight Club once. We were on twice, and we booked it both times. The second time we had to cancel it due to unforeseen circumstances. And we were assured by P&O, don't you worry, we'll make sure you get your money back. That was about 14 months ago. We're still waiting. So I'm guessing we're not going to get it. So thanks for that, P&O. We saw Le Voir.
Yes.
Who I have to say was very good.
Yes.
But then I heard that she got a bit snooty about people
P&O are very funny about photos in productions.
They don't tell you you're not allowed to take photos, and then when you take photos, they embarrass you.
We had friends that had their phones taken off them at a Laveau thing, which is fine. If they don't want photos taken, then please say, because people do these days, don't they?
As an entertainment event, Le Voir was excellent.
Yeah.
But I have to say, because you get a 3-course dinner, and the dinner was rubbish.
Yeah, we didn't enjoy it.
It was terrible.
Yeah. I don't know if the menus changed, but it was very...
I spoke to somebody fairly recently, and they seem to be churning out the same stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really what they should be doing. Instead of trying to fleece people for 25, 30 quid or whatever they're charging, I think now, they should be doing, like I said, we haven't had confirmation on this, but the Limelight Club on Queen Anne.
The Limelight?
The Bright Light.
Yes.
The Bright Light Society on Queen Anne. When we went, it was free, but we're confident that it's going to be a charging venue, and it's going to be about $15 or $16. But there's no food involved.
Yeah.
Now, I wish that with the Limelight Club, it just dragged on and on and on and on, because it was...
It took about 3.5 hours.
With all the dinner involved, there was a group that was playing in there that had a really good. They were good, and there was a lady singing. She was great, but the whole event took about 3.5 hours, and that's why we cancelled the second time, because there was so much other stuff on the ship which we wouldn't have got to have seen, because we were going to be 3.5 hours in the Limelight, and it was Lee Mead, wasn't it?
It was Lee Mead
who won. He was
Technicolor Dreamcoat.
Yeah, he won the thing to be Joseph in the Technicolor Dreamcoat, but. So lots of people I know that have gone to see it, including ourselves, enjoyed it, but it takes too long and the food's a bit rubbish.
Yeah. But who's worth seeing is whatever your preference are. But they normally have like the Gareth Gates and the sort of British stars, don't they, that have been on sort of a lot of the reality programs. But they're all very talented, aren't they? So just see who it is, but I think you make sure you have to get it booked up. Yeah. And we did cancel within the time frame that we could cancel for a refund, but they still never appeared.
So if you're going to book it, say Paul and Carole has already paid for me, and get them to check their records, and I'm sure they'll sort you out.
Rachel saying, despite the grumpy staff, would you try a cruise on Britannia? Yes, we want to do more P&O. We've just come off Aurora, as you know. We only did 3 days on there. We thoroughly enjoyed it. So we do want to try the different ships in the fleet, because they do all offer something different. So yes, that's a definite. Nick's asking, right then, fly cruise or sail from Southampton? Do you have a preference if itinerary is similar?
The only what I will say is bummers about fly cruising. If you're flying into Naples, Naples is easily the worst airport we've ever come across. Maybe the one in Egypt will come close, where they think like spitting's like an Olympic sport. I don't know why. They just feel like they have to do that all the time. But
Naples
airport is just rubbish.
Well, it was when we were there. They may well have improved.
Well, they couldn't have got any worse, that's for sure, because we landed, they didn't have any stairs for the plane, because it obviously must have been a surprise that we turned up, because it wasn't like that it was a flight that had a time or anything, and the air traffic control. Yes, but so it depends where you're flying into. If it's Naples, I'd be a bit wary, but we've flown into other places and we've had a good time. And where did we fly in for Morella?
Palmer, and it was great.
Fabulous, yeah.
So it all depends on the itinerary, Nick. Going out to Southampton is just so convenient. We love that we could just drive down, and with an hour and a half, you start your holiday and you're on board, and there's no flying. Because I'm not a big flyer. I just don't. I get a bit stressed. I get a bit anxious with flying. I don't like airports. They tend to stress me out unless I get there hours before. And Paul gets fed up.
And we're talking hours and hours before.
I'm just paranoid that I'm going to miss the plane. So that just adds an extra stress. So the only thing with sailing out of the UK is weather, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can never guarantee the weather. So sometimes you have to wait for decent weather, and you have to go through the Bay of Biscuits, don't you, to get anywhere hot. So
we once got to an airport and Carole lied to me about the time of the flights, which serves me right because I should check myself. And she lied to me, and we got there 6 hours before the flight.
I didn't
6
plan
hours.
that. We were just very early. I
didn't
planned to
plan
be
it,
there
well,
about 4 hours, but yes. Right, let's see. So what other questions have we got? So Heather's asking, what's the best value way of doing Alaska and the Rocky Mountaineer? Pick a cruise ship inside cabin and get the silver on Rocky Mountaineer.
But don't.
Well, that's the cheapest way.
The cheapest way. I know Carol's answering your question, but yes, an inside cabin because you can go out on deck. But Rocky Mountaineer, you've got to do gold, because if you do silver, if you're in gold, it's a double decker and you're at the top of the double decker. If you're in silver, it's a single decker. The roof in the carriages are different. So you've got more glass in the gold than you have in the silver, so you can look up. It's one of those ones, if you scrimp on the Rocky Mountaineer, I truly believe you'll live to regret it, because you'll think, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. Whereas an inside cabin, you can still go out and you can wrap up warm and you can see everything that the ship has to offer when you're sailing through places. But silver, you can't.
Well, we booked silver, ironically,
we had no choice.
But we had the whole carriage, all the silver carriage, because the silver carriage broke. We got up to gold, so we now understand the differences we're looking at. So yes, I think Paul's got a very valid point. However, I think silver, you'd still have a good experience, but gold with the views, it is
you
pretty
have an amazing experience.
Yeah. So I think it's one of those trips. You know, if you're going to scrimp on a trip, then I don't think Alaska and the Rocky Mountaineer is one to scrimp on it.
You can, but it's like you said. Do the scrimping on the cruise side of it. Don't do the scrimping on the Rocky Mountaineer side of it.
Yeah, true. Right. Jill and Sandra are asking, how do you cope with flying you don't like heights? It's not so much that with the heights thing, because I can quite happily sit by a window and look out, because I've got a whole wall there. I don't feel there's any sort of fresh air or any gap that I can fall through. I just get anxious and my brain goes into overdrive about crashing and turbulence and all sorts. So it's not the height thing. It's just my brain just goes quite irrational at times. Not just when I'm flying.
Not at times.
Right. So let's see. Right. So Danny's asking, there seems to be a lot of positive and negative conversation with regards to Azamara's new CEO. Have you heard much on your end? And happy anniversary. Carole, you're such a lucky woman. This is wine throwing Danny from Canada.
I'm going to say, I couldn't believe that you didn't introduce him by his proper name.
So do you know we haven't? I have seen that there's a new CEO for Azamara. We met Danny and his lovely wife on Azamara Onward, didn't we?
We did.
And Paul would end up drinking very, very late with him and coming home covered in red wine.
Yeah.
But so no, we haven't. So
we haven't. What we do know is when we were on that cruise, you had the head of food and beverage, you had the executive chef for the whole brand, and wasn't on the ship, but we spoke to her before we got on, the head of PR, and all those people, which were massive, wheels in the Azamara machine, have all left.
They all have gone to other jobs. Prior to this is going back, about January. So
obviously, I'm assuming the old CEO.
But I guess it's because there's changes. So
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to see how Azamara change going forward. So Adam's asking, where did you both meet?
We met at a rugby club called Long Levens Rugby Club. It was a charity, a do for charity.
It was.
And we met, and our eyes met across the dance floor.
They did.
And the rest is history.
And then we went on our first date, just to elaborate a bit more, to people, if you know Gloucestershire, the famous Air Balloon pub that's on the bypass to Cirencester, and that's just been knocked down, hasn't it? Which is like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So, because they're building obviously new dual carriageways and stuff. But yes, so that was a lovely one all that time ago, Paul.
Oh, it was fabulous.
Right, so let's have a look at the questions we've got. So Claire's asking, did you first start cruising after you met each other? And whose idea was it to start YouTube? We started cruising well, I cruised many, many years ago as a nurse. So I worked for Celebrity for nearly 2 years, going back to the 1990s. So I knew that I wanted to cruise as a passenger, but then it wasn't so affordable as it is now. And then when I met Paul, it took me 7 years to talk him into going on a cruise. And we went on the Navigator of the Seas out of Barcelona was our first cruise, a 5-day cruise. And after about a day on board, Paul said, oh, why haven't we done this before?
You wouldn't let me, would you?
So, and it was my idea to start YouTube, only because I started the website 7 years ago, and then after about a year of doing the website and things to complement the writing, I thought this needs some video in just to I don't think you can always give a good idea about an experience with writing, but I think combining writing and video together gives a whole different dimension, and that's why I said we need to start doing YouTube. So Kenga Cruise and Ken and Lindsay have just got off Aurora. They've been around the Baltic having a fantastic time.
They were on there for like 6 months, weren't they? Right?
It was 19 nights, wasn't it, guys? I think. So yeah, they we got off just as they got on.
Have we ever left anything behind on a ship? Well, as you know,
yes.
Ken, we left something behind at a hotel in Bridgewater when we came to see you in Carnival, in Panto. Oh no, we didn't.
Oh yes, we did.
And we haven't left anything on a cruise ship, but my father, in his wisdom, decided that he was going to leave. On one cruise, he left the arms off his mobility scooter, and he didn't tell us until we got
to Swindon,
back to nearly to Gloucester. So they're still in that cabin as far as I know. And we were on a Morella cruise, and he left his battery charger for his mobility scooter. But luckily, he realised that before we left
Southampton.
And we also, luckily, we knew a lot of people that worked on the Morella ship, including the hotel manager, because, of course, they wouldn't let you back on them.
No.
So I get there, they're like, what do you want, mate? It's like, well, can you get Demetrius down here? And he came down, and it was like, you know, my dad's left his thing in his cabin, and no problem, go and get it.
Yeah.
So otherwise,
that was sorted,
that would have been a hoot.
And you left your glasses on Sky Princess.
Oh yes, I left my glasses, and they did a tour of Iceland.
And lovely, the Acklams, wasn't it? They bought it. Karen and Craig went to reception. They found them at reception and posted them back to us. Yeah. So it's your family, isn't it?
So the more we think about it, the more we've left on there.
So Richard's asking, right then, what time will the QM2 arrive in New York on a 6-day crossing? Normally arrives in the morning, but do check because it does vary, doesn't it? It does vary.
I don't know when he gets there. 8:10. I'm going for.
Barbara's saying, I really like that idea, Carole, keeping things you take off in the clear boxes. Thanks for the tip. Yeah, because I just take them out the case and put them straight in there so that I know that they're where they are, rather than putting them all in the wardrobes, and so that it's just our cruising boxes. Tom and Dom's asking, hi guys.
No. So let's just shut that right down now.
Oh, wouldn't it be lovely though?
No, it wouldn't.
We could do a group cruise and run your boat. I guess that's a no then. No. Oh dear. So Mark Williams is asking, saw the Queen and name ceremony in Liverpool on Monday. Yeah, looked fantastic, didn't it? And seen vlogs about the ship. Forget the infinity balcony. Would you prefer a Celebrity Edge class cruise or one on the QA?
Celebrity, like I said, apart from those stupid infinite balconies, the theatre is fabulous. There's so many great spaces because that's the same as the Beyond, is it? Or
yes.
Yeah. There's so many fabulous spaces inside and out. To me, what Cunard has done is they've tried to be modern, they tried to be traditional, and they haven't really managed to achieve any of it. They've tried to be all things to all people. They have to a degree, but I think Visit With Us summed it up perfectly with our video, not Cunard enough. You've either got to smash the mode to smithereens and say, right, this is for our new Cunardians, the 20s, 30s, 40s people, instead of the old Cunard ships, which were for people that was born in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, even though we love going on them. And they've tried to be all things to all men. And MSC have tried to do the same thing where they try to please everybody by doing 17 different languages, and they end up pleasing nobody. So they got to be very careful of the route. Because if you weren't into Cunard, you wouldn't say to people, "Oh, go on Queen Anne," because it hasn't got enough.
No, I think, I totally agree. I think Queen Anne, if you're saying to someone who loves Cunard, would definitely go on Queen Anne. I wouldn't say that. So if you love a modern ship and you want a beautiful ship, but you want a taste of Cunard, then definitely go on Queen Anne.
A taste.
But I think you still have the afternoon tea. The programs are still the same. You still have all the insight talks. So I think there is still a lot of Cunard there. It's just presented in a different way, isn't it, really?
I think the staples is the right word I'm looking for of any Cunard ship. They've messed about with them, and I'm going to say much more than that because we've got a video coming out tomorrow, which should go
watch
on
our
to
video on your
one.
show because
but they've messed with things that they had no rights messing with
in our eyes. So Chris Moran, who's not our cousin. I'm looking forward to my Alaskan cruise next week on Queen Elizabeth, followed by a trip on the Rocky Mountaineer. You inspired me to do it, Paul and Carole. I hope you have the most amazing time.
Well, you
because
will
it
have an
is
amazing time.
absolutely fantastic.
I'm
Yeah,
confident.
you will. So let's see. So Keith is here, Rock Doc 2174. We overpacked for our recent cruise. Yep, they've been on. We're on a Discovery in a fantastic cabin that had floor-to-ceiling windows, which was absolutely amazing. And we've learned a lot about what to take next time. How long does it take you to reach the correct mode to close?
Well, as soon as we find out, Keith will let you know because we certainly don't know yet.
I'm terrible at overpacking. I get better sometimes, don't I?
No, you don't.
So we're still learning, Keith. We're still learning.
I look at the suitcases, and they're on the bed, and they're going, no more, please no more. And I'm saying to Carole, well, that looks all right, doesn't it? And then she sort of goes like that and looks, and we've got a curtain pole in our bedroom where our curtain is, funny enough, and hung up there is another 75 outfits for me and for her. I'm not saying it's just for her. And we're thinking, we've done it.
Then we have a cull, don't we? So, how many days? But we did have a conversation the other day that from now on, we're just going to pack for 7 days and use the laundry more, didn't we? Because I don't know why we don't do that. I know it's a little bit more expensive.
With that, but,
You don't agree with it? No. We had that conversation. Anyway, let's see. So what other questions you have? Bridget's asking, have you released how you're going to celebrate your big birthday this year?
Have you released it?
You've told people, haven't you, what you're doing for your birthday?
I'm going to.
Actually, on your birthday?
Yeah. Not actually on my birthday. My birthday's on the 20th of August. On the 10th of August, I'm going to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on the Saturday, where Tottenham are playing Bayern Munich. The reason they're playing Bayern Munich is Harry Kane, who's Tottenham's all-time leading goal scorer, left Tottenham to go to Bayern Munich. That was part of the deal that they would play a pre-season friendly. So we booked VIP for that. And then when we get back, we're going away in our motorhome for 5 days with my brother and his daughter and husband and an old school friend of mine to be joining us as well, and his wife. And then we're coming back on the Saturday, which is still a couple of days before my birthday, and my son and his girlfriend and anybody else who wants to turn up, we're going to go out around either Gloucester or Chalters for a few sherbets. And then
no cruising.
And then on the Tuesday, I might just lie on the sofa, stroking the remote, and every time Karen says, "You done that vlog yet?" I'll say no, because it's my birthday.
Yes, exactly that. Oh, Scott said in question, Paul, you need a medal. Okay. Scott.
I cannot argue you, Scott.
So Caroline's just saying, how do you transport your tech, i.e. adapters, charge cable? Do you use a specific box or bag, or just put them loose in a case? I've got specific bags and a little case. So, so I quite organised with my
I could say to her, "Where's the so-and-so?" And it'd be like, "That's in the so-and-so bag," or whatever. She knows it. I don't know what I'm doing funny voices tonight. I haven't even think of nothing. She'll know exactly what bag it is. Yes. Have you looked in the so-and-so bag?
And there it will be.
And there it will be, because obviously I do what's it called? A man scan.
Yeah, so it's not in here.
It's
and
not
I'm
in
like,
there.
I'm sure you ladies in the comments will know exactly what I mean. So you've just done a man scan, so you haven't looked at all really. And there it is. Right, so let's have a look. What other questions we've got? So Deborah's saying, hi, Paul and Carole. We're on the P&O Azora in September. Will hubby have to take a suit for formal night? Been told P&O are quite strict. They are quite strict with gala nights, aren't they? Because they wouldn't let you in, only in particular lounges. So if you don't want to go to the main dining room, you don't want to go to like the Crow's Nest. If that's on the, is there a Crow's Nest on Azora? I don't know. That's the only two places that are a bit funny, aren't they, for formal night. So, but you don't have to do that because you don't have to go to that lounge and you don't have to go to the dining room. You can go to the buffet or elsewhere. But yeah, P&O, they're quite funny, aren't they? About certain
but it doesn't
things.
have to be a dinner suit as long as.
No, I think even if you had a just a.
I think if you had a jacket and a shirt and a tie, that's fine.
Tie,
but
though,
tie, I got told off for no
tie.
We'd gone out for, it was gala night. We'd gone to the restaurant, and I had to go back to the cabin because there was an important football match on. And then while I was there, I took my tie off, watching when I was led on the bed watching the football. And then when I came back out, I didn't put my tie back on, and I got refused service in the Crow's Nest Commodore Club, whatever it's called, on Iona. What's it called? Whatever that's called.
It's Crow's Nest.
Crow's Nest. I got refused service. I didn't have a tie on. I had a full suit on, but I didn't have a tie on. So
it wouldn't.
I haven't got a tie on, young man.
Yeah, exactly. The cruise boys say you both look gorgeous. Thank you, guys.
I'm assuming on that.
The cruise boys are starting to do live soon, so get to put that. Well, watch that space. No,
we don't know when it is.
Well, I think it's the 15th, but I might be wrong, boys. So just let us know if I knew that you were thinking of it. So I don't want to, but so if you are around, make sure
you don't want to prematurely announce it like she's just done.
But they are going live soon. And apologies if I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
But right, it's our 40th, and so let's have a look. Where's the next question? Cruise said we had a wonderful cruise. We both aboard. We did. It was great fun. Jackie R's asking, would you do a world cruise?
No,
not on the one ship. If it was on different ships, then that would be fabulous.
We'd like to do it like an Olympic relay.
Yes,
but not be like Great Britain and drop the baton every time. And just go, maybe do a week, 10 days on one ship,
3 days on land to explore,
and then move on.
Another ship,
and then
so that would be great. I'd love to start in Southampton and finish in Southampton, circumnavigating the globe. However, that would be the way that we would do it, definitely.
So it's a no, but it's also a yes.
Well, yeah. So Jackie Peterson, have you done Croatia? We've done it once and want to go again. It's beautiful. We love Croatia. We did a fantastic week with Sail Croatia on a tiny little boat that had 35 people on, and that was spectacular because it was a little bit of like reverse cruising because we would sail in the day and we stopped for a swim stop, wouldn't we, in these beautiful turquoise waters, and then we would stay overnight somewhere in Croatia. So it gave you a really good sense of getting to know the place at night, because places are very different at night they are in the day that you get with ocean cruising. And we also spent some time in Dubrovnik, didn't we, and Split, which we really, really liked. Lou saying you booked Azura yet? No, not quite. Where do you go on your first ever cruise? On which ship? It was Navigator of the Seas, Royal Caribbean. In fact, our first sort of 7 or 8 cruises were all Royal Caribbean because we took our dads, didn't we, after that? But that's when we weren't vlogging. So we haven't got any evidence. Well, we've got a few photos of that, but not very much, have we?
Didn't we did that Royal Caribbean one for 5 days. And didn't we do a couple of old Thompson ships before the dad started coming with us? And then we went back.
We did the Dream. We did Thompson Dream, and we did Thompson Celebration.
Yeah. And then we did
the Dream with your dad and sister.
Yeah, but we'd done that before they come on with us. We did.
I can't remember. Yeah. I think we did Royal Caribbean. Then we did those.
Then we did about 4 or 5 on the trot of Independence of the Seas.
We did, which is coming back to the UK. And I'm thinking, should we go back on? Because we haven't been on that ship for years and years and years. But I'm just gutted that Royal Caribbean aren't bringing a more modern ship.
We want a big
one.
Big monkey monstery, whatever.
We do. We really want to try the Oasis Plus class.
I want to have a go on that diving board on the back.
Mandy's here. So love to see you, Mandy. Just back from my own to the fjords, which was stunning. We've got to say, can't wait to get back to Merlin in 8 weeks. Time for the quality of food and service. Morella, yeah, Morella's fab. We definitely want to do another Morella. It's just trying to fit it in it, Paulie. It's quite difficult. Nick's asking, does Queen Anne have the same theme formal nights? Yes, it does. Exactly the same. You have the 4. You have either black and white night, masquerade night, 20s, or red and gold.
Yeah.
And you'll find that out if anyone's booked a Cunard cruise. Just go on your Cunard account on the website, and you will find your calendar. And in the calendar, it tell you exactly what nights to pack
It's
for.
in my Cunard.
My Cunard, yes.
It's either you can do red and gold, but they will let you do gold and red as well because they're quite flexible, aren't they?
They are. Alfie's here. Love to see Alfie. Chesney Hawkes and Jackie Graham were great. Yes. Yeah. So I can see.
Was he the one and only, wasn't he?
He was the one and only. And then Carla saying, didn't think much of the food in Limelight Club. No, didn't do it for us at all.
I must admit, I do look back fondly, and it always gives me the story to tell, which I've told 100 times before, is when they bought the starters out, it was mushroom stalks. And I know I've said this on here before, but it always makes me smile. For all the years I've been throwing away mushroom stalks, they've been keeping them and serving them up as fine dining. What did they do with the rest of the mushroom? I'm assuming they were obviously for breakfast the next day.
Yeah, possibly.
So what are we going to do with all these mushroom stalks, chef? Should I throw them in the bin? Oh, no. We'll serve them up as a bit of fine dining.
Exactly. Ken saying Laveau was great. We filmed without any issues. It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe he was having a little bit of an off day. We also saw Toya. Oh, yeah, Toya. Toya Wilcox, who's brilliant. I agree with the foods. Yeah, they should just cut it out, shouldn't they? And just do it as a entertainment venue. Jackie P's asked an interesting question, which we can't answer. But does anyone heard of this in the comments? Have you heard about the new adult-only cruise line coming next year in Noyonix or something like that? No. Nick's saying, have your clothes shrunk? Well, they're looking a bit tight. A few weeks before you sell. For some reason, mine have. I now got to get some new clothing. Oh, happy shopping. Well, good luck, Tracy.
Mine obviously hasn't because I'm a cheapskate. This shirt.
Can you see the emblem? Let me just
This shirt I got on our friends got married in St. Lucia, and the end of this month they're celebrating their 25th wedding anniversary, and I got up and sang, and they said, "Oh, Pete, you got up and sang. We're going to give you a drink." And I said, "But it's an all-inclusive resort, so you're going to give me a drink. So you ain't going to give me anything then." "Well, what do you want?" And I said, "I want one of them shirts," which all the staff had. And he said, "Yeah, I'll sort it out." Of course, you know, I'm sure 25 years ago, you didn't see so many men wearing pink as you do now.
No.
So he bought this pink shirt out and thought he was going to ridicule me, saying, "Here you go, here's a pink shirt." And I loved it.
Yeah.
And to be fair, it was obviously
and
good quality.
See, Paul doesn't throw his clothes out very often.
No, look at this.
It's actually still quite good. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Still washes well.
It's lovely.
Emma said she loved Aurora. Yeah, we did too. Lovely little ship. Really, really had a good time. Johnny and Will are late. Naughty. So Dick's here. Lovely to see Dick. Now, we did our members live on Tuesday, and we did a giveaway of a lot of Cunard goodies that we brought back, and Dick was the winner. He's over the moon. We just had a lovely email from him. Thrilled. So we will be sending them off to California to you, Dick, so you can enjoy.
Well, we won't.
Well, there's lots. There was a book, wasn't there? There was a book. There was a passport holder. There was a document folder. There was a luggage tag, notebook. I know.
What we're thinking about, Dick, if you're all right with this, we're actually going to Boston in September. So do you think you could? Do you think you could meet us at the airport and we'll give it you then, and then it saves us on the postage?
Right. No, I think that's a bit. So Keith's saying, after watching YouTube videos on the Mekong River cruise, we've booked the trip with Amber Waterways with the help of Dan. Are there any tips you have or things you must do? Just make sure you go, as tiring as it is, make sure you go on all the excursions, because they are absolutely making me going all goosebumpy now. They are absolutely fantastic, and you really get to know the local culture and people. And it was just such an emotional roller coaster, wasn't it?
A
molar roller coaster.
The beauty of this is we don't need to give you any advice, Keith, because everything we did was the excursions, which are all included.
Yeah,
it's all included in your fares. You don't have to worry about being like, because at the minute the price of excursions seems to be on ocean cruises is like scandalous. Yeah, but on Amber Waterways you get all your stuff included.
Yeah,
it's based on your mobility, how much mobility you got. You can do more strenuous stuff or easier stuff, whatever you want to do. And you'll be given the option every day, and you just pick what you want to do. It's no big whoop about trying to organize it all.
No.
It is fabulous, and I will be amazed if you don't have a good
Amma
time.
Waterways are a class act.
Yeah.
They really are. The food was great. And make sure you make time. They've got a fantastic little pool on the top of the ship on Amadar. Make sure you have time for spending time out there, because there's lots of shade and it's just lovely. And fantastic sunsets too.
Beautiful.
So enjoy. I would do it again in a heartbeat, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yvonne's just saying, Paul, I must say I'm as guilty as Carole for being very, very early. It drives Brenda, my husband, mad. So there you are.
Yeah, but it doesn't make it right.
No.
Just because other people are silly billies like you, it doesn't make it right.
I'm doing gold on the Rocky Mountain after your advice. Yes, you're gonna love it. So let's have a look. So Cake Lady. So hello, Cake Lady. Question: did you find Lido Buffet and Koningsdam difficult to find the food in different places? Now I'm trying to think of what the buffet was like on Koningsdam. So we ate a lot. We were in the Orange Club, weren't we? Club Orange, rather. So we spent a lot of time eating in there. Yeah. And I'm struggling to think what the buffet was like on Koningsdam. You? We
did, and like I said, to be honest,
so apologies.
We did every breakfast and every dinner. We either did in the Orange Club. We did 2 or 3 specialities. So we might have grabbed a burger or something on some lunchtime. Yeah. We must have gone there, but
well, we were busy most of the days too, weren't we, on excursions and things. So I think then we would come back and have dinner there. So apologies, Kate Lady. That's not very helpful, is it? No. Nick and Tracy saying they love going to the Air Balloon. Shame it's gone. And Claire, yeah, it was sad. That's quite an iconic pub, isn't it, in the county? So it is sad to see it go. So Bridget, but her nerves can make you do crazy things. On one flight, started praying for it to crash because so convinced it was going to happen.
We'll yes. Try and stay away from what flights you're on then.
Claire saying, didn't Paulie leave a pergola? He did.
Yes, I did, he Claire. Did. Is that on Google? Did you Google that?
No. Tina said, didn't one of you leave a pack back somewhere too? Yes, he did in Naples.
Do you know,
in Naples.
Do you know, about 3 months ago, Carole finally admitted a year after the event that really it was her fault, because not just because she admitted it was her fault. She admitted to somebody it was her fault, and I didn't have it videoed or anything, and now she's backtracked now and she's blaming me again.
So lots of people saying about vows and stuff.
What have you got to say for yourself?
Yes, if I hadn't put my handbag on it, probably you would have remembered it, but it's still your bag. It was your responsibility. So Corey said, I can never understand a vow renewal. A promise is a promise, it doesn't date. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Got that. And Tom and Don say Paul answered far too quickly.
You've always been one of my favourites, Corinne.
Emma's just saying, on my first cruise, my gran was on crutches. She managed to drop one of the crutches off the balcony onto the ground. Any idea how that happened? I just have no idea. What was she doing? Was she waving it around for sail away? Or
so that all about punctuation. My gran was on crutches. She managed to drop one.
Of the crutches, not just drop one.
I think she's written.
Maybe she did at the same time.
She's written drop one in capital letters for comedy effect.
Ah, brilliant. Marita, would you renew your vows anywhere? No. Dick said, of all your travels, in your opinion, which cruise line has the best food overall? Azamara had fantastic food. Fantastic food.
I mean, and the first time we went on, when we did have issues, but it was nothing to do with, it was only a small amount of thing, which is, they more than made up for it. The food was excellent anyway. The last time we was on is when we got to know the executive chef of the whole brand, who sadly has left now, and we did get spoiled a little bit. So even if we hadn't have had that experience, even before that, when we just got the plain run-of-the-mill, what every customer gets, it was still fabulous on a daily basis.
And their patio grill does some of the best burgers and steak, anything, doesn't it?
It's fabulous.
No, Azamara, I think, does top.
And you do when you do the white night, which is on the pool deck, they put like a barbecue buffet on which is absolutely bananas.
It is.
It's just amazing.
Azamara are brilliant, really, really. I know we had our blip with our flooded cabin, but you push that aside. Everything else about it is great. So if you like small ship sailing, it's only got 700 passengers, then, you know, we definitely recommend Azamara. Jim and Dwayne are saying, look, Skype, it's a lovely chapel for renewing your vows. That's funny. So, Lionel and Florida Field, have you done Fred Olsen? Are they okay? They are more than okay. We did a Fred Olsen cruise in, gosh, what year was that? Quite a few years ago. It's Braemar, and we had a fabulous time. And we're hoping to get back on board Fred this year. So watch this space. But no, Fred Olsen, their food is exceptional, wasn't it? When we were on, good, service was great. The only thing that if you like sort of big shows and sort of big loud sort of entertainment, that's what Fred's about. It's more about sort of quieter, low-key entertainment. But yeah, so no, we'd happily cruise with Fred again. Lots of people saying how we've done the Transatlantic. Denise is saying tomorrow we're off on Queen Anne to do the West Med and the Norwegian fjords, then back to New Zealand. We'll have a fantastic time. Richard Davis saying, what's with the Spurs support at the Gooners?
Just
write his name down. Block. No.
Richard Davis. Richard Davis, no Ian Davis. Okay.
Deb G's saying about, have you heard P&O Australia's been pulled? It's going to be rebranded at Carnival. Yes, we have, because we've got some lovely Australian patrons that we've been discussing it in Discord. So yes, so it is a change. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. So Ted's saying, teat bang.
Careful.
I know. Careful. Congratulations, Chris. My wife and I, who are late 30th, are going on a week med cruise on Cunard QV in Queensgrove. Any tips on what to try or do? We love your channel. Well, thank you so much.
We've never been in Queensgrove, so we paid a visit to it, but we've never actually stayed in Queensgrove. But what you will find is there's no entertainment or anything in Queensgrove. Queensgrove is more about your service, your separate dining rooms. You can request virtually anything you want. You can have caviar at no extra cost. It's all that sort of stuff. But obviously
around the ship, though.
But outside of Queensgrove, a night in the Queen's Room, big band night in the Queen's Room is spectacular.
Get to the pub. They
get to the pub. They do good entertainment in the pub. Is it the Garden Lounge they got on QV? There's lots of great stuff going on around the ship, but you will have to venture out of Queen's Grill to get it, because they have got an area, haven't they? Like a sort of a courtyard area in Queen's Grill.
Yes, but there's
no pool or anything.
But just check the program and make sure they do some fantastic insight talks as well and entertainment, don't they? So check those out too. Right. Joe saying, do you find transatlantic cruises rough? We only done one in August and we didn't have too bad. And on Queen Mary too, she's just such a sturdy bird. You don't really feel it. If you're on a smaller ship or a different cruise line, you may, but it depends. You know, springtime, you just don't know, do you? So it's always a gamble. But I think a gamble at cruise, no, the weather's so unpredictable around the world. It's quite a gamble, isn't it? Anytime.
But if you're going to do it, you need to do it on the Queen Mary, because that's what it was.
Well, there are other.
If you're worried about weather, the roughness of the weather, the best one to do it on is Queen Mary, because that's the only ship that's built specifically for transatlantic crossings. It's the only cruise liner. Currently, ocean liner currently in service in the world.
Virginia's asking, do most ships have all kinds of plug outlets? Not all. So make sure you do your research. We've got a whole playlist on our YouTube channel of all the different cabins on lots of different ships. So make sure whatever ship you're considering, just have a look to see if there's a video there. If we haven't got it, someone will have it on YouTube.
But obviously look at ours first.
Well, but we always take a selection of plugs. And now you can get some great travel plugs that have got USB and Cs, so it's very easy. Just go to our Amazon shop, Paul and Carole Loves Travel Amazon shop, and you will see all the different types of plugs and all our accessories that we take on holiday that go into our little box in the room. So Philip Crayson, when's your next Queen Anne coming out? Right, time for some little banners. So If you haven't watched it already, this is our video that's out at the moment. We I should have took Football Crazy's thing off there. I've lost Football Crazy now. Anyway, you can see what I'm doing there. And if you stay tuned for tomorrow, our new video out, and this is the one tomorrow. What were they thinking? Obviously, there's some brilliant things on Queen Anne. There's some great things, but there are some things that we actually thought were quite terrible. So do make sure you watch that. And that'll be out at 6 o'clock tomorrow.
It will.
So let's go back to comments. Why does this just ping up and down? Anyway.
Don't know.
So Travel Johnny Wells asking, after being on a cruise and eating all the yummy rich food, what is your go-to meal when you return home?
Carole is, and I'm after going to do a funny voice. I want gravy and cabbage. Cabbage and gravy.
I do. I do. I crave a gravy dinner, and I love cabbage.
There's nothing else with it. Just cabbage and gravy.
Paul likes a Chinese.
I do.
As soon as we get home, he says, "Should we have a Chinese night?" I think, "Oh my God, we've eaten so much already." No, but then we normally have that the day we get home, and then it goes on to cabbage and gravy after that. Yeah. So let's have a look to what other questions we've got. Stella's asking, do Morella do? I'm sure that means theme nights. They do have dress to impress nights, but maybe 75% people would go. Some people don't, do they? So, but people do tend to dress up on those. But other than that, I've never been on Morella where they've done, because some companies do like a white night, like Azamara do. Holland America always do an orange night, but I've never been on Morella where it's done another theme night.
No, unless you go on Electric Sunset.
Yes, Cheryl's just saying it's got off ballet, and Stan Boardman was on board with his family, and his son performed in theatre, and by guest a man Stan did an audience with. I bet that was really interesting. We've seen Stan Boardman, didn't we? Many years ago, a local pub. It was when Paul worked at a garage. It was a Christmas do, wasn't it?
And he was drunk when he got to the pub.
He was really drunk, but it was a fun evening, wasn't it? But I bet that was interesting. So, anyone else got any more questions for us? And please pop them in the. Kevin's quite kindly put that's our Amazon store there. So, well, that's our Amazon shop. Yeah, travel accessories. Let me see. I've jumped right down to the bottom in here. That's where I've gone. I'm thinking. So Dawn's saying. So thanks for that, Kevin. So we have 4 cruises booked over the next 11 months. Regal Princess, MSC Virtuosa, P&O Ventura, and Cunard Queen Mary 2. Which is your favourite out of these? P.S. I love watching you guys. For me, it's Queen Mary 2.
In order of, have we been on Ventura?
No.
It'd be Queen Mary 2, Regal Princess. I haven't even been on Ventura.
We have. We did 2 days.
2 days on Ventura and then MSC Virtuosa. Anything that's got MSC written on it is going to be at the bottom of the list. It's Paul. A beautiful ship. MSC Virtuosa is a beautiful ship.
We haven't done MSC for a long time. Maybe we need to revisit it.
No, we don't.
So Mandy's asking, any ideas for things to do in Tortola, St. Martin, St. Kitts, Antigua, or Dominica? So Tortola, we only got there for the day, didn't we? And we walked around, and there's not much there by the dock, was there?
No.
We walked around with Bob and Holly. So I'd definitely book an excursion if I was going there again. St. Martin's very easy to get around. We went to see the plane, didn't we? The Moho Beach.
Moho Beach, yeah.
Which we've done it, and would I do it again? Probably not.
The beach isn't even very nice, to be honest.
But it wasn't when we were there. No. It was full of seaweed.
But it's worth going there to have a plane nearly take your head off if you're prepared to wait on the beach for long enough. But is it a good use of a day? It's a one and done. It is a unique experience, but it's a one and done. They have got quite a nice bar restaurant on the beach, which was absolutely packed to the gunnels when we went there. Have we been to St. Kitts? I don't know.
No, not been to St. Kitts.
We've been to Antigua.
Antigua, we did a land-based holiday there, and we loved it, didn't we? And we've not been to Dominica. So we haven't actually cruised into Antigua.
Not much out there at all, really.
Well, no, I think there's 2. So let's have a look. Cheryl said, my niece is getting married in Spain next year. Any travel advice? I'm from Canada. Make sure your niece and everyone traveling has got the right travel insurance and you've got the right visas and everything, because you don't want anything going wrong if you have to have those from Canada. I'm not sure if you do, but that's the most important thing to think about.
Because Spain are probably one of the most fussy pants of all the European destinations at the minute. They're really clamping down. It's almost like they don't like tourists anymore, even though it's the mainstay of their economy in most places. They're really clamping down, and in some places you've got to show proof that you've got sufficient funds to last you for the duration. They're real sticklers about you having the right visa, so just make sure that you've crossed the T's and dotted your I's, is my advice. But when you're there,
Spain's beautiful.
Eat loads of tapas.
Yeah.
And yes, because it's fabulous.
Lovely. Rhonda said, happy anniversary. Chose to marry the same day one of my uncles was born several years earlier. Hope next year is the best one yet. Thank you, Rhonda. Appreciate that. So, JRY1234 is saying, love the channel, going on QA in December for my birthday. First time on Cunard. I wonder if you think it's still going to be a good experience given your issues.
Yes. I think it will be. What we do is it's almost, what you want to say it's our job, but it is our job because this is what we do now virtually. I still do a little bit of motor tradey stuff, but this is our job. But we don't treat it as a job. We treat it, we go and we experience exactly the same as anybody else. But we then tell you about the good things and we tell you about the bad things, because that's what blogging is all about. The good on Queen Anne far, 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 far outweighs the bad on Queen Anne.
Yes.
But we have to tell you about, because we had a terrible, and the dining experience was the one that's out now. That was easily, we have never, in the 29 years we've been together, we've never walked out of any restaurant, not on land or sea, where it's been that bad, where the food and service been that bad that we had to walk out. So we weren't exaggerating when we said it was the worst dining experience
that
ever.
Was the reality.
That was the reality. And when you say about the Queen's room, all the other Queen's rooms knock the Queen and Queen's room into a tin hat, as my old dad would say.
Yes.
Because it's nowhere near as grand, it's not as big, it's this, all it is stating the obvious, really. But if you haven't been on there or you don't intend going on there, there's lots of people watch our blogs who haven't been on a cruise and have got no intention going on a cruise, but they just like to find out about stuff. Yeah. So that's what we do. So if we just went, everything, if all bloggers just went, we went on a cruise, we had some food, we seen Chesney Hawks, and then, we went home again, nobody would watch anything.
Exactly. But, so go and you'll have a fabulous time. Yes, it's a beautiful, beautiful ship. And by then, most of our issues were with service. And because it was just new teams working together and teething problems, and there was a lot of them. But hopefully that will all work out in time. So I'm sure you'll have a fabulous time.
It will. Because like I said, the guy that was in the speciality, there seemed to be one waiter in there who was top-notch experienced waiter, and he was our waiter. So we're thinking this is going to be great. But then all the other waiters, every time they had a problem, which was quite often, they would come to him.
Yeah, I felt
so
sorry
he was
for
being
him.
pulled between. He was doing a great job with us, but he got pulled from pillar to post. So in the end, it went from a few tables having a bad experience to virtually everybody.
Well, yeah. But there we are.
There we are.
So, but I'm sure you'll have a fantastic.
Don't panic.
No. So, Gillian's saying we are going on a cruise to Norway end of August into September. Will we need to mix the clothes for different weathers? Definitely. Yeah. Norway.
Well, say it. Layers.
Yeah, it is. When you're going to Norway, you just need to pack layers. So let's have a look to see if we've. So Kathy says she had a fantastic meal in Limelight. So Gareth Gates and best night on Ionis. That's cool.
Yeah, you are. But then, Kathy, you like eating raw meat, don't you? So.
Kathy likes a steak tartare, which we don't like,
raw meat, raw eggs.
But Kathy said that she had one of the best, didn't she, on Queen Anne? So
it's the only one I've ever tried, so I suppose it was the best.
See, that's jumped again. So where's it jumped?
I don't know.
This is really frustrating me. The comments are jumping up and down.
You start being grumpy.
I'm not being grumpy, but I'm fighting. I'm missing people, and I don't like to do that. So let's see. We've done that. Nick's just asking, I'd love to do the Caribbean. Is a 7 to 10 night cruise long enough? Need to factor in flights. I would go, if you're going to the Caribbean, because it's a long flight, the longest that you can afford, I would go for at least 10 to 14 days, wouldn't you? Yes. Yeah.
Because like you said, even though it's a 9 or 10 hour flight, that's a day and a half out your each way once you factor in all the waiting around and stuff. So a 10-day cruise is only going to be like a 7-day cruise by the time you factored all the messing around.
Yeah. Tina saying, when did you do your first vlog and how do you think your vlogs have evolved? I think we've got better at some of the camera work, and I think got better at the sound, because I think that was a little bit dodgy to start with, isn't it? I think I think we feel far more comfortable in front of the camera now, and I'm hoping that comes across.
In the last 6 to 9 months, Carole now, and she won't do it to be intrusive with anybody, but she would never stand in a room full of people in the corner doing a piece to camera. She would never do that in a million years. Whereas now, she's happy to do that, just to stand in the, you know, this is, we're in the so-and-so now, we'll look around here, lovely. And you wouldn't have done that but
I don't feel so stupid now.
Yeah.
But we tend to do still a lot, you know, behind the scenes, as in our cabin, to talk about, when we want to talk about stuff, you know, that we don't feel that we've covered on the go.
But we try and do as much as we can.
We try and do it on the hoof, because I think it's nice to see the point of view. Yeah. I think that does work well, and people seem to like that mixture. So I think that's good. So I just spotted, guess who's in the house? The main man himself. Look, Stephen Payne.
Hey, Stephen, I didn't say anything bad about the Queen Mary 2. I don't care what anybody says. I was just bigging it up.
Stephen actually is the architect of Queen Mary 2, and says Cream and Tin Spring is usually cone. She's a good sea boat. She's a sturdy bird, as we say.
And we met Stephen on the Queen Anne, and he's a lovely man.
Yes, exactly that. So let's have a look to see if we've missed any questions here. Let's So H. Thomas said, I'd like to see you both in Howl in the Moon dueling pianos on NCL. Do you know, we want to try Norwegian Cruise Line. We've been trying to get a Norwegian Cruise Line for a long time, and the ship and the well, not the ship actually, just the time hasn't worked out in the itinerary, has it? No. It just hasn't fallen into place yet, but we definitely want to do that. I have no idea. Well, I know what dueling pianos are, but I don't know what Howl in the Moon is, but I'm sure
is it a pub maybe where the dueling pianos
maybe
perform?
It is, maybe it is.
I don't know.
So Kim's just saying, happy anniversary both. Love your videos, very informative and bloody good fun. Yes. Thank you very much.
Did you know I used to be a werewolf?
Don't.
But I'm all right now.
Oh dear. Well, I think on that, well, no, just spotted Frank and Jenna here. So just said they say we're late, but happy anniversary to Lovebirds up there. And they've asked a question. Would you ever think about doing a Panama Canal cruise? After watching another YouTube channel last night, Jan Dave, whether we'll look to book. We would love to do a Panama Canal cruise, wouldn't we? It's just not worked with the dates at the moment.
And it's got to be the old one, hasn't it?
We'd like to do the old canal, which we obviously watch Gary Benbridge a lot, and we often listen to his advice. And he says, if you are going to do it, try and do the old canal. So hopefully one day. And H. Tomo saying it's a bar on the ships that are brilliant, Carole. So thank you. Right. So I'm sure once we get an NCL, you'll always find us in a bar somewhere. Yes. So, but I want to say thank you so much for joining us for our anniversary special. Thank you all for the lovely messages, and we're going to have a nice night out on Saturday, and we will be here next week again on Thursday. So anything else you wanted to add, Paulie Morgan?
Whatsoever. I used to do all that sort of stuff and get stuff to work and thumbs
no
up
it doesn't
nothing happens.
No.
Nothing.
So if you haven't watched our video, our Queen Anne that's out at the moment, please do. It's heading towards 40,000 views, which is a bit crazy. We'd love to see it hit 40,000. So if you could go and help us do that, and watch out for our new video tomorrow. So in fact, we were sat here yesterday, weren't we? Counting up our whole videos that we've put out about Queen Anne, our cabin reviews and our vlogs have hit over 160,000 views. How mad is that? So thank you to everyone that's took the time to watch that.
It's much appreciated.
It is. And we will see you same time, same place next week. Cheers then.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye for now.